I never knew what I could become, but tonight I got the answer. I'm a 2-division champion, baby!
Out of all the talented fighters that have competed in MMA, very few have been able to become a world champion, and even fewer have been able to become a champion in 2 separate weight divisions. So for this video, we'll be looking at a list of fighters who were able to accomplish the seemingly impossible, becoming a multi-weight world champion. And as always, if you guys enjoy this video, then please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Now, without further ado, here's a list of every multi-weight world champion in UFC history. Number 1. Randy Couture. Coming in first on our list is none other than Randy Couture. Randy Couture was the first person in UFC history to win a belt in 2 separate weight classes. Couture won his first title back in 1997, defeating Maurice Smith by decision to become the UFC heavyweight champion. Randy then went on to claim the interim light heavyweight title by knocking out Chuck Liddell at UFC 43. Couture was then paired off against light heavyweight champion Tito Ortiz in a title unification bout. Couture went on to dominate Tito Ortiz, becoming both the undisputed light heavyweight champion as well as the first fighter in history to hold a title in 2 separate weight classes.
Wow.
Number 2. BJ Penn. BJ Penn is regarded as a legend for a reason. To this day, he is the only fighter in history to hold a belt in both the lightweight and the welterweight division. He earned his first title at UFC 46, when he submitted Matt Hughes in his welterweight debut to become the new UFC welterweight champion. Unfortunately, due to disputes with the UFC, he vacated the belt without a defense. 4 years later, BJ Penn moved back to the 155-pound division, defeating Joe Stevenson by submission to win the vacant lightweight title. From there, Penn racked up 3 successful title defenses, before losing his title to Frankie Edgar. BJ Penn did attempt to become a simultaneous 2-division champ at one point, taking on George St Pierre for the 170-pound belt, but lost the fight by 4th round stoppage. Number 3. Conor McGregor.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
While Randy Couture and BJ Penn might have been the first fighters to win a belt in multiple divisions, it was Conor McGregor who became the first simultaneous 2-division champ. And his rise to the top was unlike anything we had ever seen before. McGregor first won the interim featherweight title back in 2015, doing so with a TKO win over Chad Mendes. 6 months later, he challenged featherweight champion Jose Aldo for the undisputed belt, finishing him with an emphatic knockout in only 13 seconds. Although McGregor hit a roadblock on his way to the lightweight belt, he was eventually paired off against UFC lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez, with the pairs fight being the main event of UFC 205. McGregor finished Eddie Alvarez by TKO in the 2nd round, in turn becoming the first simultaneous 2-division champion in UFC history.
That looks good, God bless.
Unfortunately, McGregor never went on to defend either of his titles, and was ultimately stripped of both due to inactivity. Number 4. George St Pierre. There's little doubt that George St Pierre is one of the most accomplished fighters in the sport, and his reign over the welterweight division was one of the greatest championship runs ever seen in the UFC. George St Pierre won his first title in November of 2006, when he defeated Matt Hughes to become the new welterweight champion. Although he lost the belt to Matt Serra in a historic upset, he reclaimed his title in April of 2008, defending the belt an astonishing 9 times before vacating it in 2013.
I have a bunch of stuff in my life happening. I need to hang up my glove for a little bit.
Following his hiatus, he returned to action in 2017, taking on middleweight champion Michael Bisping for the middleweight belt. George St Pierre won the fight by submission in the 3rd round, becoming the new middleweight champion as well as the 4th fighter in UFC history to win a title in 2 separate weight classes. Shortly after his victory, he vacated the middleweight title and has since retired from the sport of MMA. Number 5. Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is a remarkable athlete, and undoubtedly one of the best fighters to ever compete in combat sports. From being a former Olympian to winning a Strikeforce Grand Prix and even becoming a 2-division UFC champion, there's very little that Daniel Cormier hasn't accomplished. Daniel won his first UFC title in May of 2015 when he submitted Anthony Johnson to become the new light heavyweight champion. He defended his title on 3 separate occasions before moving up in weight to take on the longest reigning heavyweight champion in history, Stipe Miocic. Despite entering the fight as an underdog, Daniel won the fight in spectacular fashion, knocking out the reigning champion to become the undisputed heavyweight champion, and just the second fighter in UFC history to hold 2 belts simultaneously.
This is crazy, man. Things you could never dream of, I'll tell you that much.
So far, he has defended his heavyweight title 1 time against Derek Lewis, with his next defense expected to be a rematch against Stipe Miocic. Number 6. Amanda Nunez. Not only was Amanda Nunez able to become a 2-division champ, she remains to this day the first and only woman to accomplish it. She earned her first UFC belt when she faced off against women's bantamweight champion Miesha Tate in the main event of UFC 200. Surprisingly, Nunez ran through Miesha Tate, finishing her in the first round by submission to become the new women's bantamweight champion. She defended her belt 3 consecutive times before moving up in weight to take on Cris Cyborg for the featherweight title. At the time, Cyborg was on a 20-fight win streak, so Nunez understandably entered the fight as a sizable underdog. In a shocking upset, Amanda Nunez defied the odds, finishing Cris Cyborg in just 51 seconds, bringing an end to her 13-year unbeaten streak to become the new women's featherweight champion.
How does this feel?
Incredible!
On that night, she became the 3rd person in UFC history to hold 2 belts simultaneously, as well as the first woman in the company's history to become a 2-division champ. Number 7. Henry Cejudo. The most recent member of this list is former Olympic gold medalist Henry Cejudo. In 2018, Cejudo shocked the world, defeating Demetrius Johnson in their rematch to become the new UFC flyweight champion. His first title defense saw him paired off against bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw, who he finished by TKO in the opening round. His next move was expected to be a rematch with TJ, this time for the 135-pound belt. But when Dillashaw tested positive for EPO, Cejudo was instead paired off with #1 contender Marlon Moraes, battling for the vacant bantamweight title. Despite coming into the fight with an injured foot, Henry finished Marlon by TKO in the 3rd round, in turn becoming the 4th fighter in UFC history to hold 2 titles simultaneously.
I am the greatest combat athlete of all time, and I just stole the title for the best pound-for-pound fighter too!
Well, that's all we've got time for on today's video. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, then please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.
Never have a doubt, do you like me now? Am I good enough now? Should I get more loud? Till you hear the fucking sound? Oh no, I'm losing my shit again, having to fit again. Man, I'm forgetting when I used to have some friends. I used to play pretend, we all grow up and then hating my phone and trends. I'm about to blow my head, nobody knows I'm dead. There I'm a ghost instead, think that I'm close, I get straight comatose in bed. Try to go slow with breath, breathe out my nose and head. Heart doesn't go the trend, faster it goes.